One day, James had to wait at the station till Edward and his train came in. This made him cross.
Late again?
Edward laughed, and James fumed away. After James had finished his work, he went back to the yard and popped onto the turntable. He was still feeling very bad-tempered.
Edward, isn't it possible? He clings about like an old iron, and he's so slow that he makes us wait.
Thomas and Percy were indignant.
Old iron? Slow?
Why, Edward can beat you in a race any day. Really? I should like to see him do it.
Next morning, James's driver was suddenly taken ill. He could hardly stand, so the fireman uncoupled James ready for shunting. James was impatient. Suddenly the signalman shouted. There was James puffing away down the line.
All traffic halted,
called the signalman. Then he told the fireman what had happened.
Two boys had faulted and couldn't on his controls.
Phew!
They turned around and ran, James started.
The signalman answered the telephone.
Yes, he's here, right. I told him. The dispatcher would come in at once. He wants us a country phone and call it why road.
What for?
Wondered the fireman.
Searching? Or you better get them quickly.
The fireman was ready when Edward arrived. The inspector saw the pole and a rope.
Good man, jump in.
We'll catch him. We'll catch him. Yes, we can. Yes, we can. We'll catch him. We'll catch him.
Puffed Edward. James was laughing.
What's a lark? What's a lark?
He chuckled to himself. Suddenly, he was going faster and faster. He realized he had no driver.
What should I do? I can't stop! Help! Help!
We're coming. We're coming.
Called Edward. Edward was panting up behind with every ounce of steam he had. At last, he caught up with James.
Steady, Edward.
Called his driver. The inspector stood on Edward's front, holding a noose of rope in the crook of the shunter's pole. He was trying to slip it over James's buffer. The engine swayed and lurched. At last!
Got him!
He shouted. He pulled the noose tight. Gently braking, Edward's driver checked the engine speed, and James's fireman scrambled across and took control.
So, the old iron caught you after all.
Chuckled Edward.
I'm sorry.
Whispered James.
Thank you for saving me. You were splendid, Edward.
That's all right, my James fellow.
Replied Edward. The engines arrived at the station side by side. The fat controller was waiting.
A fine piece of work,
She said.
James, you can rest and then take your train. I'm proud of you, Edward. You should go to the works and have your worn parts mended.
Oh, thank you, sir.
Said Edward.
It'll be lovely not to clank.